We've all felt it. The feeling might come when you realize you've had the same goals for the last 18 months. The feeling comes when you hit a big age milestone, 25, 30, 50. The feeling hits you in a transition in life. Fresh out of a job or in a job that feels like it's sucking your soul. Ending of a long-term relationship. You've felt the call to completely reinvent yourself. Or put another way, completely unfuck your life. But how? We're going over 3 ways in this video. Let's go super practical for way number 1. Something you can do today after this video. Then we'll get to some deeper ones I got for you. Stay tuned. There was a time not too long ago in my 20s, I had made some money. Not like F you money, I can do whatever I want, I'm rich, I can retire, but enough money to where I didn't have to work, which I'm not gonna lie, made me kind of lazy and led to maybe me ordering Uber Eats all day and sitting on the couch playing Fortnite. I was doing creative work and really didn't want to create anything. Moreover, I didn't like the business I was in. So day in and day out, I would wake up and it felt like Groundhog's Day, where it's the same day over and over, just playing on a loop. And this went on for a series of months until I did something impulsive. I picked up everything and I moved out of my apartment in Seattle, bought a one-way ticket, moved, restarted in Arizona. I took it as a challenge that I was going to completely become the 2.0 best version of myself somewhere fresh. I wasn't gonna leave until my business was making a minimum of $1 million a year. Within a year of moving here, everything changed. My relationship got better, I became happier, more positive, started breaking all the habits that I thought were so deeply ingrained in me in Seattle. And it's the first thing I'd recommend when anyone feels stuck. Find a way to change your environment. This is super underrated in my opinion. But why does this work? Let's talk about the psychology that goes on behind it. Conservatively, 46%, but I've heard as upwards as 80, 85 plus of everything you do in your life is habit-based, meaning it's on autopilot. This is why change is so slow for people. How do you expect to change anything if you're only working with 20%? 1 year will take you 5 at that rate. And this is why some of the biggest personal growth moments in life, if you can remember, usually center around an environment shift. Examples: going off to college, going on a retreat somewhere new, totally different environment, moving of a new city or traveling. And when I moved here, I realized how much of my thinking was just going on and trapped in past memories. I would drive down the same streets, go to the same gym, eat the same restaurants, have the same grocery stores. And so it kept me in the same thought loops. No wonder my life didn't change much. And what you'll find is that when you shift your environment, it shifts your thinking. And when you shift your thinking, you shift your habits. And that's how you accelerate growth. We'll mix things up for you. The second way, if you feel like you're in a rut, if you feel like you want to reinvent yourself, but you're just stuck spinning your wheels in the mud, going nowhere, you have to resist the most destructive urge. It's 2 words. Learned helplessness. Now let me explain this and go a bit deep with you. Learned helplessness is a term that comes from the 60s when they did a bunch of really crazy experiments. Pre-internet, when they could do all the craziness in psychology studies. And one of that was a test they did on dogs. There was 3 groups of dogs. One could press a lever and get out of a cage. Second got shocked, but as soon as they pressed a lever, the cage opened and they left. And the third dog, no matter what they did, pressing a lever didn't matter, they got shocked. Messed up, I know. Now you and I would never shock dogs, but we can learn valuable lessons from the study. Because the follow-up, when they did the same thing minus the shocks, the first group made it out. The second group made it out. But the third group had learned that nothing they did mattered. Lever, no lever, they were just gonna get shocked. Life happened to them. They couldn't even escape, they didn't even try. They curled up in the corner and they gave up. That is what is called learned helplessness, because nothing you do, no matter what's just gonna mess it up. That's just who I am. I mess up everything. Life has no purpose. Life has no meaning. That's literally learned helplessness right there. When you're in a rut in life and you want to reinvent yourself, the negative sway bias that we all have will try and push that narrative onto you. Don't try, stay put, nothing you do matters. I mean, look, this is getting at the question of purpose and meaning. Been going really deep lately and reading philosophy. Talk about learned helplessness, those guys, Nietzsche, Freud, Jung, they all talk about this though, that if, you have no meaning, if life is meaningless, why try? Get this, the universe has been around for 13.8 billion years. There's estimated over 100 billion people just like you that existed on the face of the earth at some point or time. Then you're born, you exist for what, 73, 78 years before it all goes away, and then in another 20 billion years or so, the whole universe is gonna go poof. The dance stops. And from that perspective, there is no purpose. Zero. And that's the learned helplessness view of life. Why try? Now, I don't buy into that. I don't buy into the fact that life is meaningless, it's all just gonna go away anyway. Some people that don't buy into that try to immortalize themselves. It's called an immortality complex, where they try to get their name on a statue or a library dedicated after them, or build something to leave a legacy. I'm gonna be this big entrepreneur, big rich, and immortalize myself in civilization. But it's all gonna rust away. It's all gonna erode eventually. So I can't tell you what the purpose of life is. And that's the beauty of it. You have to find your own. If you don't have any meaning now, your meaning is to make meaning. Your purpose is to find your purpose. Creating purpose is literally the first step in pulling yourself out of a rut and unfucking your life. You have to do this. And I'm not saying I have all the answers for you, but one thing that served me very well is when I don't know what to do, I'll do the opposite of what I feel. It's a very good rule in life. You don't know what to do to be healthy, we'll do the opposite of what unhealthy is. You don't know what to do to be rich, we'll do the opposite of what poor people do. Whatever degree of learned helplessness we've all taken on, what's the opposite of that? I think the opposite is enthusiasm. This word in its root origin literally means to be possessed by God. Inspired is another word that goes with this. In spirit, if you break that apart. The problem with most people is that they're living uninspired lives. So this conversation about enthusiasm and doing what excites you, what can you start to get truly amped on? For a lot of people, it's a goal. There's a reason that when you read some of the OG self-improvement guys, Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, even Tony Robbins, Abraham Maslow, they nail this concept over and over. It's almost like snooze fest, roll your eyes. Goal setting. I can smell the manila folders and the cheap coffee in a seminar room right now. Having a goal isn't so much what you get out of it, it's having something to pull you towards, to channel your enthusiasm. And that's the real meaning of it. I'll be really honest here. This is a question that I've been struggling with myself. You know, when I was, if you know my story, I was in debt in my mom's basement when I started this whole YouTube channel. The craziest metric I could have ever thought of was 1 million subscribers. Man, if I could get 1 million people, what else is there out there? Like, I don't see anything else that could top that number. And the other month we hit it. Even now being on the other side of that, I see like what? 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, like that doesn't, it just loses the meaning. And if I'm 100% honest, I don't know if I've found that next enthusiasm goal yet. What I can say is that the goal now is not as much about metrics as much as it is about connections. It keeps going back to the one thing, making the best art I can make. And I don't say art as a pretentious, as an artist on YouTube. If what you do isn't art, you shouldn't even do it. Everything should be art. And that's what I keep coming back to in my journaling sessions with this content, why I want to keep doing it, of course. Making the best art I can make. Trying to create the best Clark Kegley video we can. I said I wasn't gonna be pretentious, but third person, it's hard not to. How deep of flow states I can get into. How much can I tap into my own truths instead of just regurgitating what else is out there and what's already been said? How much fun can we have with videos? How authentic can you be? That's where the mastery is. That's where the art is. And so for you, if you're in a rut, I implore you to find a way to make what you do a form of art. Go for mastery. Fall in love with the process. Find deeper ways to connect to what you're already doing. This isn't just in business, mastery in relationships. If your relationship is boring, yeah, you date the same person 20, 40, 50 years, you think you're gonna have some ruts. I love Thai food, but if I ate that thing every day, yeah, I would get kind of sick of it. Not to compare my girlfriend to Penang curry. Mastery in a relationship, it's your job to make that exciting. Finding new angles, finding new ways, spice things up. You work a job, you like it, but maybe you just get in a rut and you're just like, dang, this thing, I'm so bored of it. Going for mastery, finding a way to make that exciting, finding new ways you can channel your creativity into what you do. That's where the game is. Not abandoning ship every single time something gets hard and boring. That's not mastery. The point is tap into enthusiasm, tap into excitement. If you're feeling in a rut, maybe it's time to set a new goal, or maybe it's time to try and set the goal and the intention of bringing as much enthusiasm to what you're already doing as possible. I'll link down below a free mini course if you want some help setting the next bar, setting the next goal. There's a workshop in there I think could really be useful to you. It's 100% free, it's in the link below. You just put in your email and you get instant access. The third and final way, this is perhaps the most direct route, fixing What sucks? You ever heard of this guy? Sigmund Freud. Reading his essays on civilization and its discontent. I know, I surprise myself too. I can read above a 5th grade reading level. This was written in 1930, and it's talking essentially about what we're talking about now, how life is hard and people fall in the ruts, so they need distraction. My notes that I wrote down, he says there's 3 things to combat the hard and toughness of life, the suffering. People fall into deflections, making light out of misery, substitutes to diminish their misery, or third, intoxicants, becoming insensitive to the mystery, getting drunk, getting high, changing your state so you don't have to deal with what's in front of you. So you could go to intoxicants or distractions, but ultimately your problem is still there. There's a saying I always come back to, what you resist persists. It doesn't do you any good to run from what you need to fix. One of my mentors, Paul Chek, I'll never forget, we were doing an interview, we were filming with him in his house in San Diego. He gave a hypothetical, it was so funny because it was so blunt. He says that if you have a friend and he's banging his head against the wall, complaining about a headache, what do you tell him? How does that wall make you feel? What's the root cause of this wall bang? You tell him to stop banging his head against the fucking wall. Like, if you honestly just took an audit of why your life isn't where it is, I promise you'll have 90% of the data staring right in front of your face. Whether you want to listen to that, whether you want to face it, that's its own issue. But you talk to 9 out of 10 people and they'll say, I like honesty. You know, I'm a straight shooter. I like people who tell me how it is, in that tone too. So why don't you tell it how it is to yourself? I get that it might be too painful to strip naked, look in front of your mirror and say, holy shit, I'm fat. And it's no one else's fault except for mine because I control every single calorie that goes through my mouth. I get that it's too painful to admit to yourself you're in the exact same relationship that you said you were gonna leave 12 months ago, yet here you still are. I get that it's painful to pull up your bank account and check it and realize you're in debt. You spend money every single month on random Amazon one-click purchases that you don't even have $100, $200 a month to invest in yourself. Look, you can tell me that you don't want to change because you're too lazy or you don't want it bad enough. And I actually respect that. I do, because that's honest and that's self-aware. Even if I don't agree with it, it's honest. But what I don't tolerate are people who say their life is fucked up and they want to blame other people, or they want to blame the excuse of, well, I just don't know how. I don't know why it is. Meanwhile, they're depressed. They don't put down their phone from scrolling on social media. They don't work out. And they drink like they're still in a fraternity. I mean, how real are we gonna get here? What I will tell you right now is that if you feel like your life is quit banging your head against the wall. Not tomorrow, not next month, not next year, not when things are perfect. Fix it now. Getting amped up today. Look what you made me do. If you want some help reinventing yourself, that's literally our bread and butter that we do in our Metamorphic program. 10 weeks working with myself and other coaches, personalized custom help with you. Amazing student results from going from where they felt like they were in learned helplessness to then coming out the other side full of energy. We call it the 2.0 you. You don't even recognize yourself by the end of 10 weeks. You're up for a challenge, apply for it down below. Talk to one of our coaches, free call to see if we can help. We do have limited free slots for calls, so if you're watching this, go grab one now. They do tend to fill up. That's all I got. Till next time, stop settling, start living. See ya.